Hello everybody, I am JayLeonardJ, and today I'm going to share with you 5 essential setup tips that's going to help you get the absolute best performance, stability, and tone out of the stock Jazzmaster Bridge. Well, welcome to another episode of the Tone Lab. Now, one thing I've noticed hanging out with my fellow guitar players or seeing some of my peers online is that a lot of guitar players that regularly rock something like a Bigsby Telly or a Jazzmaster or a Jaguar, a lot of them have swapped out the stock Jazzmaster Bridge for a high-end expensive aftermarket one, something like the Mastery or the Stay Trem, the Bell Rock, the Bensonite. There's so many great options out there nowadays. I actually am included on that list. For years and years and years, I swore by the Mastery Bridge for my Bigsby Telecasters, and I've used Stay Trems and all kinds of other things as well. And the reason why is because I think out of the box, the Jazzmaster Bridge can be quite a frustrating thing to use. And most of us, we just give up, spend the extra $200, $300, get something aftermarket and call it a day. What I'm going to share with you today is within the last 6 years, I've actually reignited my love for the stock bridge to the point where all of my guitars, or most of all of my guitars, are back to the Jazzmaster Bridge. I've sold all of my Mastery bridges. I have a Stay Trem still here, but it's not installed in any guitars. I've just really doubled down, gone back to it. And the reason why is because I've experimented with enough to figure out how to get the most out of the Jazzmaster Bridge, and now to the point where I actually prefer it. What I wanted to do is I'm going to try to save you a little bit of money, all right? I'm going to show you my 5 go-to setup tricks for a Jazzmaster Bridge that might make you reconsidering spending all that money on that aftermarket one. Let's get into it. So my first piece of advice is probably going to solve 80% of the problems you're having with the Jazzmaster Bridge. Now, out of the box, the Jazzmaster Bridge is the tolerances aren't very good. The height adjustment screws for the bridge posts and for the saddles, they're not tight in there. And I find that as you play, they start to loosen themselves over time. And before you know it, your saddles start lowering and getting uneven. Your bridge posts start lowering. And before you know it, you're getting all kinds of rattles, and their action is going to change, and you're just going to be frustrated. Get yourself a small $10 thing of thread locker. There's different companies that make it. This is Permatex. There's Loctite. They usually have different strengths. The strength you want is medium. Usually medium is the blue one. And all you got to do is all your height screws, put a little bit of thread locker on it. So the height screws for your bridge posts, the height screws for your saddles. You could leave the intonation screws alone. I find that those are actually pretty rock solid. It's the height screws that become very, very frustrating. When you get that nice solidity there, you're going to get a lot more sustain, and you're going to get a lot more stability. That thing's going to be really locked in and beautiful. Again, make sure you use the medium strength, because you still want to be able to adjust the screws when you need to do a little bit of a setup things. You don't need them to be permanently locked. So just a little bit of that medium strength is going to be all you need to unlock the strength and stability of the Jazzmaster Bridge. For me, the thing that used to frustrate me the most about the Jazzmaster Bridge was that low string, that low E string always just jumping off of the saddle. You see, the groove in the Jazzmaster saddle is not very deep. So when you're getting really in the zone and I do a big chord, that low E string always tends to just pop out of the groove. That was actually what made me want to switch out the bridge in the first place. Here's a tip that's going to make that problem go away. So one thing you should know is that when it comes to the height adjustment screws for the saddles, there's actually 2 heights. The reason why is because the middle saddles are actually, because of the radius of the guitar, a little bit taller than the outer saddles. So what I do really is you just get one of the longer screws and swap it into that low E string. You'll see that that longer screw creates a little bit of a wall, and it's a really simple and easy hack. And you can see it doesn't actually sit higher than the string. It just sits a little bit below the string, so it's not going to tear up your hand when you're playing. It's just going to make things really, really simple, really easy, and really, really solid. For you Bigsby players out there, you probably don't need to do this mod just because there's a lot of downward pressure from this bar over here, and it really does a good job at keeping that low string in place. So you probably don't have to do it. However, if you are getting slipping, that might be a good thing to try. For my next tip, we're going to talk about how we want this bridge positioned. So there's actually a lot of movement here. I could push this bridge forward, I could push this bridge backwards, or I could have it in the middle. What makes this bridge unique is that all the strings, they should sit here and sit tight, because when I use this actually moves, the bridge moves with the tremolo system. When I go down, it moves that way. When I rock back up, it rocks back that way. And that's what keeps that feel really, really nice when I'm using this bridge. And because of it, I like to keep this bridge right in the middle. So that way when I go down, it moves down. When I move up, it moves up, and everything stays nice and centered. Now, a lot of people will recommend pushing it all the way back. That's one mod I see a lot. Now, that will work really good if you're not using your tremolo at all, but I do see some down points to that, and I'll show you what I mean. If I have everything intonated and set up where this is all the way back, that means I can go forward and I could release, right? And it'll go back. But here's the thing, when I'm using this in excitement and want to get some really cool vibrato techniques, inevitably, I'm gonna wanna push up on this. And what happens is, since this is all the way back, this string is gonna slide when I push it up. And then when I release it back to normal, you'll see the bridge moves forward. You see, now everything is not set up anymore because it's set up for this to be back. So that means every time I accidentally get heat in the heat of the moment, move upwards, all of a sudden everything's out of alignment. So that's why I like to set my bridge when it's right in the middle. There's less chance of friction, anything catching. I also find when it's all the way back, I sometimes get some vibration noise from it hitting against the back thimble. So keep it right in the middle and you will be golden when you're playing guitar. My next setup tip has to deal with the height of the saddle screw and the post screw. So there's two ways you could raise and lower the action on a Jazzmaster Bridge. That's either by raising this post over there or raising and lowering this saddle over here. Now I find that I get the absolute best tone transfer and stability when I keep this post as low as possible and keep this thing as high as possible without having any contact with any side of the bridge and the string. So you can see I have this thing so low, but when I move my tremolo, it's just low enough so that no matter how aggressive I get, it never touches the bottom. So I still have a free moving thing, even though this is like almost sitting right at the bottom. But by having it nice and low without any contact with the actual bottom plate, I can keep this saddle super high. And you can see how much clearance I have here, how much clearance I have on this side. It's great. I have lots of pressure going down on this saddle, really stable, really, really wonderful sounding. And this is how I like to have it set up. Now, notice that I have the saddle, would call it adjustment intonation screw on this side. I just put it on this side so that way when I need to change the intonation, I can actually just do it on this side. It's easier for me to get a screwdriver here than it is to get a screwdriver on this side. Moving over to my Jaguar, you can see I'm working off of the same similar principle. Now you can see this is higher, and the reason why is I want to have some clearance when I use my mute, so the mute's never touching the bottom over here, right? So I have clearance there. And also, I want to make sure that I have clearance from that little screw to the bottom of my string, and also the back here, from the bottom here to the top. So that way they're never, ever, ever touching. So when I move this up and down, there's never a point where the string contacts any part of my bridge. And also when I use the mute, there's no time where the mute ever gets in the way of over here too. So you can see that I have a lot of clearance here and I could raise this more, but actually on the D string, it's a much closer tolerance. So you just have to look at all your saddles and make sure each saddle has enough clearance, and you can get your bridge set up perfectly. Now the intonation screws are on the other side on my Jaguar and Jazzmasters, because again, it's easier to get my screwdriver in this way than it is that way. Another piece of advice is keep those saddles gunky. Keep them dirty, keep them gross. When you play the guitar, you know, a little bit of skin's gonna move off onto there. You're gonna get a lot of little things getting stuck in there. Don't ever lubricate those saddles. The magic of the bridge depends on that string and that saddle being completely locked in together. They're always moving. You never want a situation where the string is moving, but the bridge is not. So you want friction at every point there. And when you keep the oils and the nastinesses in the saddles, it kind of creates like a little bit of a friction in the saddle slots to keep that string locked in. Also, that accumulation of rust and wear on those saddles keeps the screws more in place. So you have the screws set more in place, you're gonna get less buzzes. You're gonna get the strings more solid in position so that they're gonna stay in and not slip out. Everything's gonna be really, really tight. So it's almost like the older and more used your Jazzmaster Bridge is, the more stable and the more dependable it's going to be. Here's a little bonus tip for some of you cats out there. Depending on how your guitar is intonated, sometimes this is so far forward that this becomes extra wiggly. You see how it wiggles back and forth? Now, that's not really a big problem because most of the time we're bending upwards. We don't really bend downwards on the guitar. But if you are bending downwards and you're getting a lot of movement, what you can do is you could either A, get a longer spring, or B, you can get, cut off a little of the excess spring from here, because actually these don't need to be as long as they are. And you just layer them on top of each other. So you can get two springs, put them on top of each other like that, right? Kind of interlock them, and then you put your screw through it. And then all of a sudden you get like this super spring, and that will be sure to keep things very, very stable. That being said, most of the time I'm okay with just the normal spring, and a little bit of play is fine, but something to keep an eye out for. So in a nutshell, that's all my tips. Put a little bit of Loctite on all your height adjustment screws. You can switch out one of those height adjustment screws for a longer one for the low E string, so the low E string doesn't pop out. Keep that bridge nice and centered. You got to keep those saddles high, the posts low, and finally keep everything nice and dirty. All of those things have made my Jazzmaster Bridges rock solid, and that's just the way I use it right now. I really, really like the stock bridge, and I've stopped looking at aftermarket ones. I'm just really, really happy with the way the guitar's set up. And for all of you that are wondering, the way I'm setting up my guitars right now, I got 9s on my Jazzmaster, and I got 10s on my Jaguar. Now, Jaguars are short scale, so 10s on a Jaguar are essentially 9s on any other Fender guitar. So I'm going light strings. I'm getting great performance out of it. So please, I really recommend you try these tricks and see if that solves all your problems for you. The aftermarket ones are absolutely wonderful. I'm not going to disparage anyone that's rocking one, but I think you might find all the happiness you're looking for in the gear that the guitar came with. Well, that is it. That is the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to the page if you haven't done so already, and check out the links in my description. Those links really do keep the lights on around here and keep this page rocking and rolling. My question for the subscribers today is, if you have a topic that you want me to focus on an upcoming Tone Lab video. There's a lot of weird things about the technology in the guitar, setup ideas, getting certain sounds that you might be having a little bit of a block and finding your way to the other end. My job on this page is to make guitar as enjoyable and inspiring for you as possible. So if you have anything that's taking a little bit of that fun away from the guitar, write in the comment section below. Hopefully I can make a video that's going to solve that problem for you and keep you rocking on with a smile on your face for as long as possible. All right, so that being said, I'll see you all soon. Take care and goodbye.